What's up, everybody? I'm Blessed and Free. Welcome back to another episode of DOC TV. So, man, this isn't going to be a prison story episode. It's not going to be an interview. I told y'all I was going to be dropping personal stories because, I'm getting more subscribers and I want the people, that watch me to get to know me on a more personal level and the things that I've been through in my life. But in today's episode, we're going to be talking about the Florida pill mills and doctor shopping. So back in 2001, I was selling weed with one of my homeboys from high school. We'd skip school all day, sell weed. And his dad one day when we were in the garage said, "Yeah, I see y'all making money selling this weed, but there's a whole nother game y'all don't know about." And we're like, "So what are you talking about?" And he told us about this doctor that was on US Highway 19 in Trouble Creek. So for people watching that don't know where that is, that's in Pasco County, Florida. It's like a main highway. So we found out about this doctor and we ended up going into the doctor. His dad told us what we had to say. So, my appointment was first. We booked 2 appointments, like at 1 and 2. So I go in first and I go into the doctor's office and he comes in. I'm sitting down. And he's like, "So what's going on today?" He was an Indian doctor. And I was like, "Man, I'm on house arrest. I can't control my anger. And every time I act out on my anger, I throw my back out. I've been in car accidents. I have severe back pain." And he's like, "Well, what's your pain on a 1 to 10? And I'm like, "A 10 for sure." And I was like, "I have anxiety. I can't be in public with people." So he pulls out his script pad and he writes 120 Xanax and 120 Percocets. So I'm like, damn, that was easy. So right when my friend did the same shit, he got the same pills. He wasn't prescribing Oxycontin or oxycodone at this time because that really hadn't hit hard on the streets. So we leave the doctors, we go back to his dad, and his dad tells us, which one of his homeboys to go to, and we sell the pills, and we made like $500 a piece. We kind of got ripped off, but whatever. It was quick, easy, and at that time, we're 18, $500 is a lot of money. So now, not knowing what I know later on, because I wasn't taking these pills when this doctor was giving them to us. Like, my boy would take some of them, and he would be all fucked up. And I was just like, man, I don't want to be like that. You know what I'm saying? So fast forward, I'm coming home from Orlando, Florida at a Slam Fest, which is a festival for cars, with systems and shit like that. And I'm driving down the road and I'm coming up to a 4-way intersection. My light's green, so I just keep going. And all of a sudden, boom, I get T-boned by this van. Immediately when I'm hit, I'm ejected from the car like 30 or 40 feet. And I'm laying on the ground in this ditch on the side of the road on my back. And I can see the intersection where the van that hit me was. And the guy literally took off in the van. Never found out who it was. And I ended up breaking my sternum. So the ambulance comes. They take me to the hospital. And you already know what they do. They start pumping me full of Demerol, whatever else they gave me. I don't know, but it was strong shit. So I'm in bed for 3 to 4 weeks, taking prescription pain pills that the hospital prescribed me, and they referred me to a pain management office. Now, I don't know at this time, like, the whole hustle in going to pain clinics in Florida, but it's becoming an epidemic at this time. So the first pain management office I went to, I bring my MRI, and it was only a cash office, so I pay $300 for the visit. And I leave there with 240 oxycodone 30s, 120 Xanax bars, 120 Somas, and 240 Oxycontin 40s, which is a lot of fucking pills if y'all don't know. I'm sure a lot of people watching this already know where I'm going with this story. So I leave there, and at this time, I didn't have a tolerance, so I wasn't even taking what they were prescribed. Then from being in the drug game and selling weed and shit, I come to find out everybody is starting to take these pain pills. So I start selling them. I sell like 3/4 of the script and I still take what I need to not be in pain, which if you took pain pills before, you know that eventually when you take a pain pill in the morning, by the time you got to take the other one, your pain is like doubled by like 50%. They end up causing more pain than they do taking the pain away. So eventually I start taking more pills. Now I'm selling pills. Eventually I start going to multiple doctors. I had some lady I knew, which son lived in Kentucky. They would drive down with like 6 people. They would all go to the pain management appointment and they would leave and go back up to Kentucky because up north, this shit wasn't going on because the states had databases in effect, which stopped you from seeing multiple doctors. Florida was like one of the last states to get it. And it took a lot for it to even take place. Our governor didn't want it to be in place because, let's be honest, man, the pharmaceutical companies pay for these officials' campaigns and all the shit that they do. So they're not going to want to stop, sending people to the doctor because then they're not going to get prescribed pills. And then the pharmaceutical companies are going to lose money and then they ain't forking over that money for the campaign. So fuck Rick Scott, that was our governor at that time. And I say that because at that time, 7 Floridians were dying a day due to drug overdose. And this was before fentanyl. And this is before all the shit that's going on right now. And it seemed like everybody wanted to turn a blind eye to it. And that's because money talks and bullshit walks. So I'm seeing multiple doctors. And during that time, I'm making a lot of money, but I'm living that fast life. So I'm spending a lot of money. And I'm taking more pills. When you have more pills and you already were taking them, you're going to eventually start taking more. And eventually, as you take more, you're going to build a tolerance and they aren't going to work. So, 6-7 years go by, and at that point, I'm taking a lot of pills. I end up getting arrested for, sales of pills because eventually you're going to get caught in the drug game. I don't know many drug dealers out there that are selling 50 kilos and, retiring on an island. I just don't. They may be balling for a minute, but ball till you fall, and eventually you're going to fall. So I go to prison. Now, when I'm in prison, I already had a girlfriend and I'm calling her from prison. And I call her Monday and I'm like, she answers the phone. She's like, hey, let me call you right back. I'm at the doctor's office. So I'm like, all right. So I didn't think anything of it. Call her back again, like Wednesday. Yo, what's up? Hey, let me call you right back. I'm at the doctor's office. So this was like going on for like a month. And I'm thinking she's like seeing 2 doctors or whatever it is. So come to find out, when I got out, she had been seeing like 7 to 10 doctors and getting all these pills. And, she did look out when I was in prison sending money, but fuck, like you got money if you're seeing that many doctors. So at this point in my life, and I'm sure a lot of people that have been in this type of life can kind of understand this. In my head, there was nothing nobody could tell me. I was going to be a drug dealer. And the reason why is because why would I stop making, $1,000 a day or more to go work at a job and make $10 to $15 an hour? I was so tunnel vision in my life at this time that I didn't see any other way of living. And it wasn't until I got out of prison and me and my ex-girlfriend went to a doctor's office and she got the scripts. We go downstairs. They had an in-house pharmacy. She hands the pharmacist the scripts. He goes back like he's going to fill them, and boom, he busts a 180 and comes right back to the counter. And he's like, hey, you've seen this doctor on this date. You filled this on this date. You were also in Sarasota and saw this doctor on this date and filled these on this date. He's like, I either have 2 options. I give you back your scripts and you leave here, or I call the DEA. It was at this point that the DEA put a database into effect, which if you saw 2 doctors within a 30-day period, you were flagged in the system. So leaving that pharmacy is really in my head where I was like, this shit's over. Like, I'm not going to be able to keep doing this. And it was all I had known for like 6 or 7 years. It was how I paid bills. It was how I lived. But it was also killing me because during that time, I was taking more pills and more pills and more pills. When you're mixing different pills, you're getting different outcomes. So, I was fucked up a lot of the time and I was careless in what I was doing. Hence why I went to prison. And looking around at my life at that time, I realized like I'm not the only one that's going through this. Everybody I associated with was eventually turning from selling pills to buying pills. And that's, there's, like Biggie says, don't get high on your own supply. But when it comes from a doctor and you're prescribed so many of them, it does this thing in your head where you're like, man, like, I'm not doing anything wrong. Like, I literally had a doctor tell me one day when I was in there and he's asking me, so how's your pain been? And he's, saying all this shit. I'm like, oh, it's horrible. It's a 10, 10, 10 is what I kept saying. And he's like, yeah, your quality of life is over and you shouldn't even vacuum your house with the amount of injuries that you have. And, you believe that shit. So it's almost like it's a double-edged sword. You make money, but you become addicted. But eventually the addiction leads you into, like they always say, man, jails, institutions, and death. And I've already been to 2 of those places. So you start realizing like, I may have a problem here. You know what I'm saying? And then when you're not getting prescribed all those pills, you really realize you have a problem because you were taking so many because you had so many and now you don't. And that's when you start to become sick because you don't have the medication that the doctor prescribes you. And I'm sharing you this story because I'm sure a lot of people know somebody or someone that has gone through this exact same thing. This isn't a secret. This was an epidemic. It still is an epidemic, except now it's fentanyl. And you get a microdose of fentanyl and they're putting it on everything. Xanax, heroin. They're putting it on pills. They're pressing pills with it that aren't even the real pill. It's just fentanyl. And people are dying. And you got to be living in a cave to not know this because it's on the news every day. And I want to share this story because I want somebody out there that's watching this right now that's struggling with this same thing. Yo, you can beat this shit. It is only until you wake up and you look in the mirror and say, I have a fucking problem, that you're going to be able to beat it. Because you can have the mom, the dad, all the friends, all the support tell you like, hey, bro, you might have a problem here. But until you conceive that to your inner self, you won't believe it and you won't do anything about it. So if you're out there and you got a problem, man, tighten the fuck up and get off that shit because there's no life in that, man. You become a prisoner, a slave to the pills, to the whole shit, man. And there's no light at the end of that tunnel. But hey, I appreciate everybody who's been subscribed to the channel. If you haven't and you're new, man, hit that subscribe button and turn your post notifications on all. So every time I drop an episode, you can hear it first. And with that, it's DOC TV, and I'm out.